This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles, on the Rockstar Radio Network. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money, and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author You and the Book Shepherd on the Rockstar Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, top of the day to all of you. It's been quite a couple of weeks for me. I did a show back on February 16th, and it was all about the author platform. And I'm one of these authors that sees things. I have to feel them. I have to experience them, and I have things going on in my head all the time. It's just not the physical visual that you see. It's the visual that I have to almost internalize it as I start pulling it out. And it's really been seeded, and I certainly have been talking about the author's platform, and I have lived the author and book platform for several decades now and made my living and built a house and supported a family and all those good things that have come from it. And I was slated to go on vacation, and my vacations are always a working vacations. I literally, take my clients with me because I have manuscripts with me that I'm working on. And we completed several, and I know as I've come back that we have had several go to print that were completed during that time. So that's always exciting. But here's what happened just before I went off, that because the platform was so rolling around in my head that I literally sat down on the floor and was able to dictate the entire audio version of what I wanted to do and get it to my audio editor that could work on it while I was away so it could be prepared for me to listen to as I came back. So that happened. But on the same thing, about the third day into the cruise, the visuals were just jumping all over the place. And I started putting it together for the written format. And by the time, and this is always scary when an author hears that, because I'm one of these binge writers, and we're going to spend today going back into the platform and revisiting it, but also about finding the time and even looking for maybe where there's some of the money sources, because one of the great emails I got from one of my book shepherding clients was that he had just received a grant for $10,000 to underwrite part of the book writing for his next book. And this is a book that he had just printed. He was just done, but they were so impressed with the quality of his book, and it was about healthcare that's coming along, that they were able to come in and seed it. Well, there is money out there to support that. So if time allows, we're going to get into that, or we will dedicate another show just to finding the money, show you the money. But let's come back and look at this thing called the platform, and how did I, as I was opening up, how did I write a book in a week? Well, it's just not that it was an idea that all of a sudden just dropped into my head. It's something that I saw, and it's formulated, it germinated, it was watered, it's been fertilized for a long time, and it was just ready to come forward with. So let's go back and redo that, and here's the title of the series, and it's going to be a workbook. It's going to be a guidebook. And actually, I'm creating a whole series. That's what's came out of it. It's going to be called the Publishing Siren Series. And the new book, the audio series, is creating and developing your author and book platforms. And then it's creating and developing the author and book platforms, a guidebook to take you step by step. So I'm really excited because literally you're going to be able to get it anytime from March on of 2012. That's how fast we've been able to move. The book, as you listen to this, layout is being completed and it goes to print. So it's been very exciting. And here's what's really exciting, it's going to be in color, which ties into my whole vision that I like. So let's go back and revisit this whole thing was what I call the platforms. And it starts with, I'm going to give you a quote. Jack London, author of many, many best-selling books of years past, but he's literally said, you can't wait for inspiration. You have to go after it with a club. And you see, that's what's happened to me. The inspiration was there, and then the club came out. So I want you to repicture. You've got an idea for a book that maybe has been rejected by lots of people, or maybe it's just brand new and it's just beseated. And you decide, do you want to go with it? Are you going to develop it? Are you going to go with it? Or in my case, back in the mid 80s, I was rejected by every major publisher. I had this idea. I was inspired, but did I have the guts to go after it with the club? So I had just come out of an embezzlement that cost me in excess of $1 million. I mean, we were broke. We lost everything. We were homeless. We ended up living in a garage with 3 teenagers, and let me tell you, that was not a piece of cake. I went back to school to try to solve and bail myself out of this mess that my partner, a woman, had put me into when she got involved with drugs, and basically she stole money from a loan that I had personally guaranteed. And I ended up doing my dissertation, and my dissertation was on ethics. Do women undermine other women? So it was a passion. Now, when you do a platform, there are 3 critical components, and your book and you as an author will not be successful without them, period. There is no question. If you don't have them, you will fail. The first component is passion. I was passionate about it, and I was trying to figure out, I'm not a stupid person. Just as you are not a stupid person. You're listening in, you're trying to figure out, how do I do this thing called authoring? How do I be successful with my book? You're not stupid. You've got the smarts. What you're doing is looking for the steps, giving me the guide, throw me the rope to get me out there. I was looking for the rope. I was trying to figure out, how did I get duped? And I bet you've been duped. How did you get duped? I've been duped. Everybody has been duped. So I was passionate about trying to find out how in the hell I got in this pickle. I was rejected by everyone, and I remember speaking in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in a women's conference. And I was having dinner with Gloria Steinem, the Gloria Steinem, feminist Gloria Steinem, author of several books, New York Times bestsellers. And we were talking about my topic, my passion. And I was there talking about that. And she was telling me, you can't write about this. Don't publish this. And I said to her, but Gloria, Ms. Magazine went under because of the backstabbing and undermining of your female staff. According to my sources, they were friends of yours. Looking at me, she simply said, yes, but it's just not good to talk about this. Ah, contraire, I responded. Don't you see? If you keep sweeping it, women undermining women, under the doormat, how can it be addressed and much less resolved? She finally agreed with me, but still felt that using my sledgehammer approach, writing a book, publishing this form of a manifesto that came out in a book called Woman to Woman from Sabotage Support, was just too much. It was too heavy. I could only laugh at her. This was the woman who had flung more than her share of sledgehammers in her wake-up quest for women to gain their independence, who was cautioning me. So my passion was there. So my question for you is, what is your passion? Be very clear. It's the very first step, right? Now, then the next thing that you move through in this development and this building is the vision thing. What's the vision? How big do you see this? Does it include everyone, or is it a very small niche out there? And to me, it doesn't matter. In fact, I think it's a killer statement If anyone says, oh, my book's for everybody, it is not. The more you niche it, and many of you have heard me say this, the more you niche what you're doing, the more you become the whale in the lake. It's superior to being the sardine in the sea. So you become the go-to, you become the expertise. So what's your vision? Do you see yourself on CNN? Do you see yourself on Ellen? Do you see yourself on Rachel Ray? Do you see yourself as the go-to person in women's magazines? Do you see yourself being quoted in Forbes or Business Week or Time or Newsweek or, my God, the National Enquirer? Where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself speaking to groups? What kind of groups do you see yourself speaking to? What I'm trying to do is to get you bring in is where are you? Where are you talking? Where are you reaching? Who are you communicating with? With the internet, the vision is so fabulous to expand on because you can talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime. You can have Skype book clubs. You can speak to classrooms across the world via Skype. I'm going to be doing a conference in a week from now in St. Louis. I have already pre-set up in the Google Hangouts via NBC several interviews that they're going to be broadcasting to their affiliates in Missouri. Now, is that cool or what? So there are things that you can do with your vision. How big is it? Where do you go? Who do you see reaching? Who's your audience there? All right. Then that third component is the commitment factor. And this is the killer. This is where it'll make it or break it you. You can have all the passion. You can be so excited. You can have so much energy with passion. And you can have the big picture. You can see it. You can see people coming to you, hearing, reaching. You can fix it. You can entertain them. You can do all those things. But boy, if you don't have the commitment, you're dead in the water. The commitment means time. What are you going to put into it? It means energy. It means money. And if you don't have those, because one of the biggest problems, especially new authors, especially beginning authors have, is they don't have the time, energy, money. We're going to come back and talk about that when we come back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Is there a book in you or another? Author U will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author U brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through Author U's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, Author U is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join Author U today through its website at authoru.org. Follow Author U on Twitter at Author U and on Facebook at Author U, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. Author U, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Change the way you publish online. WaveCloud is a new forum for authors to manage all their books' information in one place from start to finish, including pricing and listing summary. To learn more or sign up for email updates, visit wavecloud.com.
Every picture tells a story. And it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Alrighty, so I was exiting. I was talking about money and time and energy, and let me tell you, I had a new client I've just agreed to work with, and as a book shepherding client, and I was actually set up to reject him. And he had sent me his book. I've worked with people all over the world. I've just finished a book with a well-known doctor in China, and there are. I fracture English, and let me tell you, I don't speak Chinese, but we did it. And the adrenal syndrome is a great book. And so this is a guy from Austria who found me. And there was a deep accent, and I thought, it's going to be such hard work for me to do this. But I said, you know what, Jan, send me your the manuscript so I can look at it. And oh my God, what a struggle! What a struggle! Listen, if a reader has to struggle through your book, you're dead. And most books get shut at page 18. So I got to 120. I mean, I pushed through because I knew I had a call with him. He got it to me on Friday, and I had a call with him on a Monday morning set up for an hour set aside to talk with him. And I had just said, I just can't do this. It is such immensely hard work with all the factors. There was a language issue. The book sucked, to put it bluntly. And yet he was one of these crash burn, and roller coaster entrepreneurs. And he had spent so much time in this opening talking about, I mean, literally we have the dog Fluffy. I mean, he didn't call the dog Fluffy, but it was like the dog Fluffy was in here, and, you know, his adventures with his first wife, who cared? And I finally just said, he went running on, and I just finally said, you need to stop. And I just said, your manuscript sucks. And there is no interest, and you're trying to talk about, here's what I get about you. You're a rags to riches, and rags, and I'm assuming we're at riches again. And he says, yes, okay. And he's now he has moved to America and is based in Texas. And I said, but so I get what some of this has to do with it, but 90% of it is irrelevant on that. And we spent an hour talking and going through it, and I do get his story. I do understand it, but he really needs to trash the whole thing and start over. So when I went through him and I said, here's what it's going to cost. I said, you have this vision. I mean, he has the passion, no question. He has the vision, all kinds of things. He now runs a very successful restaurant. And I said, you need to tell me if you have the money, and I'm going to tell you what the money is. I said, to do what you want to do that matches your vision, that it's going to cost you this amount. There is a editing factor, there is a layout factor, there is a cover design factor, there's going to be just me handling as a book checker factor. We don't have any index issues, so I know that's not going to be a cost in here. I don't know if we're going to have any illustrations, but here's what that would cost. And there is a gross rewrite factor. And you are looking at a specific amount of money. If you don't have the money to commit to that, we need to stop now. And you have to have that come to time to talk with yourself about that. This is not a project you're going to do for a couple $100. And a couple of people, they come and they get sucked in, and we're going to do a whole show about these god-awful publishing predators are out there that come in and say, we'll do your book for $597. And by the time you're into it, that if you stick with the $597 model, you've got a trashy looking book, that will people don't keep. I mean, you're talking to someone who loves books. I love to touch them. I love to feel them. I love to smell them. I love books. I love reading, and I have electronic readers. I have the e-readers, but my preference is a book. On that. Everyone has different preferences. I would never think of throwing away a book until these fast track books came along, and now I trash them. I just said, you didn't care enough of creating a quality product. I'm not going to care enough about keeping your book. And that's horrible to say. I feel awful to say that. So he had the commitment in going through it, so I ended up saying, I'll work with you, but here's the game plan. So with that said, let's talk about, before we come up to our next break, let's talk about some of these things. And this is coming right out of the guidebook for creating this platform. And there is 22 activities for you to do in this guidebook. And I'm actually putting together with rings so you can lay it flat, because you are working in this guidebook. This is going to really develop your infrastructure for what you have, and I'm very excited about it. So the first activity is, you've got to start with this platform awareness. So ask this question: what separates you from other authors? Why are you different? What are you the expert in? And then you have to look at, in your own work, your savings and investment that generates more than enough cash flow to exceed your expenses, will it allow you to write and market your book? In other words, this is where the commitment side comes from. How are you going to support the baby? When I came back from the cruise, I spent an hour on Sunday morning, and I sent out a variety of tweets on a couple of our past shows, the podcasts. I just spent an hour sending out that, and do you know that within a day, over 280 people came to listen to it because I committed to do that. What's your commitment? When I went away on the cruise and it started gelling, what was my commitment to do this? I did it. And I pumped out 2 and 3 chapters a day. And then I did the polishing. Actually, my husband's an editor, so he was editing on top of me, which made it quite nice. As I finished a chapter, I just put it on a flash drive. I gave it to John, and he worked on it. So it was a team effort. Next question. Are you known in building this platform? Are you known to the go-to person to solve a problem or to consult with if we're talking about nonfiction? Or do you see that you're still in the pack and you haven't broken out? Why haven't you broken out? What will distinguish you? What can you add on to your mantle that really makes you shine? You see, when I did my study on why women undermine women, I broke out of the pack. It just wasn't behavior issues. I could really come in and nail what was going on. What were the power plays? Why were women these stealth bullies that had pit bulls with lipstick? So I broke out of the pack. Have you told anyone what separates you from the rest of the pack? And how and when are you going to do that? When are you going to go out of it? Have you written about it in other publications? Are you starting to seed it? Are you starting to build articles? With the internet, oh my gosh, You have an unbelievable platform to start doing that. And start looking at the blogs. Is anyone already writing about that? Can you become a contributor? Can you become a guest blogger? Can you become kind of a go-to person? Have you done any branding about yourself? When? How? Where? In other words, does the world know where you are? How to find you? How easy are you? So those are the kind of things that you want to start looking at. Do you have a website right now, today, that immediately tells a visitor who you are, what your expertise is, and how they can contact you? For my speaking website, which is Briles, BRILES.com, for the speaking website, what I did is I had a meeting planner. And what she did is that she literally, I had a couple of meeting planners go to that just front page, very short home page. And I said, tell me what you'd like to see. And they just said, we want to see basically in 15 seconds what you write about, what you speak about. And so what we did, instead of having it buried into a paragraph, we just had 6 bullets out. Bing, 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 bing. So they could immediately see, I deal with conflict resolution. I dealt with this. Now we've added on publishing. And in fact, I don't go out speak much in the healthcare field, which was my expertise, a female-dominated field. That's what it evolved to. All I do today now is publishing and work with authors. But that was my continuing evolution because, you see, that's where my passion is. And you have to go with that passion factor. It's so critical. All right, continuing with those building activities. Is your website unique? Does it need some work? Do you love the colors, the presentation? Is it active or is it stagnant, meaning there's no activity? Get your Facebook flowing on it. Get your Twitter stream flowing onto it so it shows that there's activity all the time. If you've got a book, is it on it? Start asking these questions. So there's a variety as we go into. We're going to take another break. I'm going to come back to that. And we'll come back to these things and continuing with this platform building, because these are all part of who, what, where, how, why. People are going to come to you. And it's going to start with the visual. How do you present yourself? Can they find you easily? Are your colors good? Are they stagnant? That's what you're looking for. And when you have the platform, I'm telling you, you'll rock. I'm Judith Briles. We'll be right back.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing with Judith Briles, we will provide you with discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
Do you need postcards that make a statement? How about business cards, flyers, brochures, or NCR forms? Two Vets is the solution for all your printing needs. Providing services specially designed for authors, we deliver exceptional quality colored printing. Most important of all, we specialize in reducing your printing costs. No more waiting. No more standing in lines at your local printer. Online proofing. With our pricing tools calculator, you can get instant quotes on all your printing products, as well as shipping rates all over the United States. Just a few clicks of the mouse and you're on the way to discovering how easy and convenient online color printing should be. Contact our friendly, human account representatives. We recognize that you want answers, not voice prompts. Visit our website at www.tu-vets.com or call 1-800-894-8977.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, as always, we always like to have one of our sponsors who is with us. And I think here at Your Guide to Book Publishing, we're really blessed to have some terrific sponsors. And there's a variety of printers that I've had the pleasure with my own books as well as my clients' books to work with. This morning we've tried to have Charlie Tlapa on so many times from Total Printing Systems, but last time he had a fall and cracked ribs and everything else. But we've got him today. Is that right, Charlie? You with me?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks for having me. It's great to be with you.
Oh, great. Well, what I like about Total Printing, and this is what's really important for our authors to understand, sometimes you just want to print a few books to get that feeling. And one of the great things about Total Printing is they really excel in some of these short runs. And a short run, jump into that for me, Charlie. What is a short run?
We do some print-on-demand work. We have one customer who has 450 titles in print-on-demand. But the majority of our customers start around 50 copies and up to a few thousand, whether it's full color, single color, perfect bound, case bound, or plastic spiral, like children's books or cookbooks. Pretty much handle all varieties of bookwork in that short run market, usually 50 copies and up.
Mm-hmm. And then Charlie, you do color out at Total Printing?
Yes, we do. We do quite a bit of books like cookbooks that are full color, children's books. Children's book market has really exploded for us.
Yeah, exploded. So can you talk about, is there a chance that you could talk about what some of the cost differentials are for a color printing versus a black and white?
Well, it depends. It could, if it's on a high gloss sheet, like a coffee table book, that would probably run on one of our sheet fed presses, that will be more costly than a book that's on a 70 or 80 pound mat that's going to run on our digital 4-color web. Quite a bit of savings to produce, like school books and reference books. They have full color, but can run on a web. It's quite less expensive to do it that way. Generally, we produce quotes in the same day sequence, and a lot of times when people are putting quotes or putting their projects together, we might quote it a dozen different ways so they can get an idea which way they want to go with it. So we're pretty helpful in working with the client to make sure they go in the direction they want to go at the price they want to spend.
And what let's just talk about let's just talk about, how about a children's book? Let's do that. Children's books are not big fat books, and let's talk about a 4-color book. And let's see what they look for a spine. You want at least a 32-page book. So what would be, if let's say we have some children's authors listening in, and they have a 32 to, say, 50-page book, what would be, and they need 4-color internal, what would be, and maybe a few hundred copies, what would we be looking at there?
Well, depending on the stock chosen, if it can run on our digital web, you could run it on a 70 or 80-pound mat stock with full color. You could do 32 pages. It wouldn't necessarily be saddle stitch. Most children's books now are either side sewn or perfect bound, away from the stitching. We also offer adhesive case bound, so quite a few of our children's titles are, put into hardbound printed case covers. A 32-page perfect bound book in full color in a quantity of 50, and it could be $3 to $4 a book. Where if you got into a case bound variety, it could be $12 to $13 a book, depending on that quantity and the paper. And so there's a lot of variables, so it's hard to give an exact price. But,
well, that gets it. $12 is pretty pricey. So tell me, Charlie, what's the difference between case bound and perfect bound?
Well, we offer an adhesive case bound, so you have your traditional printed or cloth bound case cover. You have a jacket or not a jacket on it. And what happens is that end sheets are applied to the book block, and they are glued on and put into that hard case, and it's glued right in. Where years ago books would be stitched and then bound into the book, but we use an adhesive case, which is a perfect bound book block, basically being inserted into a hard bound case.
And there's just as strong.
Oh yes, it is as strong. I've never had a problem with a case-bound book ever tearing or falling apart. It's become, for us, the only way we offer case-bound books now.
Which I can't say for, there's here, I'm based in Colorado, and one of the big independents is a bookstore called the Tattered Cover. And Tattered Cover literally says that they will not take books from the vanity presses like Lulu and the like, because they literally fall apart.
Really?
Yeah, they just fall apart. The pages fall out.
Yeah, that that problem I used to see years ago, but now with the new synthetic glues, we never had a problem with pages falling out. The new products work much better than new glues.
Got it. Well, you want to leave us with a hot tip?
Well, I would say, determine your print quantity, and then you can determine whether you want to go digital or offset. The file preparation is also very important, and file preparation for digital and offset printing are not always the same, especially if you're in the color work. So you want to try to get the highest resolution possible. We accept all file applications. We would suggest working with a good book designer, or someone can get it ready for the printer, and find out what your printer specs are. There are always people willing to work, and most printers' websites have excellent instructions for file preparation. So much as you can be ready ahead of time, it really helps.
Always, yeah, it's always. All right, Charlie, how do our listeners get a hold of you?
Well, you can reach us on the web at tps1.com, or you can call us. I'll give you a phone number, 630-615-1527. We'll be glad to help in any way possible.
All right, so I want to repeat that phone number one more time.
630-615-1527.
Terrific. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Total Printing Systems, we recommend them with Author U. They have always done quality books, and they're just ideal for the short run, the short run book that you're doing. And they can go certainly much larger runs, but boy, if you want to do some testing out, it's ideal. All right, we're going to hop back over here now to some of this, and we're talking about, and the real question as you evolve in the time, besides having the time, the moxie, the commitment, have you ever thought about your author and book platform? So this is your infrastructure, and the quote I want to leave you to as I go to this next step, which is about intentionality, is smart authors become savvy positioners. They do it with clarity, they do it with confidence, They do it with competence and commitment. So those are all critical as you move forward in this thing called the platform. So then as we evolve, this next activity I want to think about is dealing with, and I'm going to tell you, you should have your pen and pencil out here because you really want to think about what your intention is as an author. Is it to become best-selling? Is it to make lots of money? And what does lots mean to you? Is your intent to have celebrity or a notoriety? Is it designed to position you as kind of the go-to expert in the field? Is it become a sought-after paid speaker? Well, what is it? So be really clear on what your intentions are. And then, what's important to you? Is it being viewed as authentic, having high transparency, having deep levels of integrity? Is it being known for your clarity of expression? Is it to be known for your storytelling? I mean, what is it? And as you develop this, you're going to be working with a lot of people as you grow your baby. So you need to ask this question. What are your trust levels? Because I get this so many times from these authors, they're so afraid, they're going to steal my work. They're not. Let that go. Now, does it happen? Yeah, it does. Have I had some of my stuff lifted? Yes, I have. But you've got to have some trust. So you have to really get your intuitive signals up. You've got to really look at where you are in this as you plow forward here. And again, what's your passion for your writing, your commitment for your writing, for your marketing, for your publishing? And then you need to think about these things called time constraints. And time constraints can be a killer. And then the last thing I want you to think about before we take this next break here is I want you to think about, what does success mean to you? What is success? Is it having people come to you? Is it having accolades? Is it having book reviews just stumble all over saying you're the cat's meow and your work's the cat's meow? Is it winning book awards? Is it having sales ring off the cash register? Is it having a book signing where they run out of books, which is always great fun, by the way? What does success look like? Is it having a full speaking calendar? What is it out there? And you really need to clearly define what success means, because that becomes part of that structure. All right, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about some time strategies for you as we pull our final 15 minutes together. I'm Judith Briles. You're listening to Your Guide to Book Publishing.
Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Writing and reading are moving to the cloud. WaveCloud represents a whole new community for writers and readers to connect, communicate, evaluate, and share. Writers hone their craft and build their business. Readers build their favorites. Sign up for updates at wavecloud.com.
The book shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the book shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems, you want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher, or by a publishing service provider, or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the book shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask on the Rockstar Radio Network. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
You know, before I jump into the time factor, because I think that we're going to run out of time and I'm not going to be able to do it. So I'm going to probably save that and let it roll to another show. I think I want to come back to just look about a little bit more about a couple more of the activities to tie into the core thing of the platform. And let's come back to the vision side of it. Vincent van Gogh said, "For my part, I know nothing with any certainty but the sight of the stars makes me dream." All right, so what do you dream about? And I opened that, this whole segment, or the beginning of the show, with I see things. I have to see them. I have to sense them. I have to feel them when I'm working on this. And I certainly felt that with my first really big breakout book. I mean, I've had a couple of good breakout books, but that finding your vision, how do you go about finding the thing? So it goes back to when we went to the break here. I asked you, when we were talking about intention, how did you see yourself? What was success to you? How do you describe it? Is it money? Is it accolades? Is it awards? Is it recognition? Is it people stalking you? I mean, what is success in that? So let's go back to the area of, so what's your vision for you as the author? And it goes, we have the vision for the book, but what about you as the author? And how do you see yourself in that? And then I think it's very important to ask this question: what could get in your way from creating it? What are the roadblocks out there, including, are you part of the roadblock? Now, roadblocks could be included with other commitments. It could be work issues. It could be family issues. It could be relationship issues. It could be a variety of issues. But you really need to know what it is that could get away from you creating it. So I want you to really do is write down what's the vision for your book and what's the vision for getting your books away. So you've got you. What's your vision for you as the author? What's your vision for your book? And this is where people ask me, so what's the difference between the book and the author platforms? It's a fine line. But you see, if I found, and here I am just finishing book number 30, and I never grew up to write a book. I never took a writing course. I mean, I did well in English, and I did well in school, and I guess I knew what my course of action was going to be from a little kid, where I always got in trouble with school because I passed notes all the time, and I talked too much, all right? I became a professional speaker, and I write. So that was the precursor, I guess, of all of it. And we had that. But so as the author, so when you look at the vision for you as the author, what do you see maybe evolving? I mean, what could be the whole, do we have a bookshelves? of your books? What's your author persona, your platform as you go out there? That could be causes you get involved in. It's your personality, who you're involved in, where your book is about your book. One book. Now, the book could create more books. It could have offspring. You could create series, or it could be just one book alone. There's one of my trashy reads, and I always tell people when I finish a book, I get the pleasure I get to do is I get to read a trashy read. To me, usually trashy reads are murder mysteries or those kind of action kind of thrillers. Although sometimes I like what we would call a chick lit, and one of the authors I enjoy is Janet Ivanovich, who writes the Stephanie Plum, the female bounty hunter who always gets into more fiascos and problems. So she's got a series of books. So she has her author of how she's evolved, and now she's developing other books in other areas, and especially for the young reader. But there is her persona as the author, her author platform, who she is and what she's about. And then she's got her book platform, and the book platform of the Stephanie Plum book series. When you look at David Baldacci, who writes thrillers, sometimes they're politically based, sometimes they're action based, sometimes you got murders. There's always a murders in there, but those are his book platforms, and then he's got this other area. There is its fine line. So as an author, you're going to develop your book is going to be more about creation of the book, and your platform will be usually specifically for that book. If you develop a series, then it will expand into that, so it's inclusive, so they have a flavor that binds them together with that. So understand there's a difference between the two, but they go together. They are joined at the hip, and you move into that area. So be clear what's your vision for your book, what's your vision for you. What could get in the way of you creating that vision for your book as well as for you? And that is critical to understanding where you are in that. Now, time is going to be one of those things, so I'm just going to introduce that just a little bit. And I loved what Gene Fowler said, writing is so easy. All you do is stare at a blank sheet of paper until drops of blood form on your forehead. And I have felt like that at times. And that's why you find, how do you write best? And we will get into in another show, we're going to talk about muses. And for example, when I was on a ship, water is my muse in that. There are a number of things that can create these roadblocks from creating those visions, and they can get you into trouble with the development of your platform. Time is at the top of the list. Whether you don't find it, you don't commit to it, or you don't take it. So that is critical to understand where you are there. How much time do you have? How much time do you think you're going to take the project? And I'm going to tell you it's going to take more than what you think. There are reasons why some authors take forever, but there's also, as I just said to one of my authors who we are going to lay out within the next few days with his book, that I said, Ward, you have to put the pencil down, because you can, in the time, you can keep taking more time, you keep tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. At some point, it becomes the next book. Let your books breed, and by golly, they do. So most authors have great intentions. They've got an idea they feel passionate about. They'll work on fine-tuning their vision. They'll even make a commitment to support the book, what financially. They'll put the time, they'll put the energy. They're going to build a team to bring it together. But there's going to be some burps and hiccups along the way. There's always going to be one thing that needs to be done, or so they think. And that's where I said to Ward, you've got to put the pencils down. Don't stop research. Stop it. Don't keep tweaking this. The draft came to me fairly good in the first place. But then as I started making suggestions, he went going back, and that's fine. But at some point you have to say enough. So it's perfection in writing can be your enemy. And understand that. So understand what that thing is. It's going to block you. That could get you there. And it's almost like the old ditty. 1 for the money, 2 for the show, 3 to get ready, 3 to get ready, 3 to get ready, 3 to get ready, and you don't go. So that's the way sometimes it can be with a book. So you want to do, you want to evolve from being that wannabe author. You've got that passion, you drive it in your belly, it's in your belly. You talk about writing a book, you even have kind of a vision of what it's going to look like, but you don't commit to creating the time to block it out. So you literally make an appointment. It's like I go away. I am a binge writer. I do it in great gaps. I cannot write an hour a day. It doesn't work for me. But for you, it could. Understand where you are. It just doesn't work for me. But it could work absolutely for you. A 3-hour block, maybe every other day, that could work for you. And I'm going to tell you, you go for it. And you put it on your calendar and you block it out. When I was doing the dictation for the audio version of the creating and developing your book, your author and book platforms, it was like the yellow crime scenes were across my doors, the French doors into my main offices. No one could come in. Husband couldn't come in. My cleaning guy couldn't. No one could come in because, you see, the vision I saw, I had everything on the floor. I sat on the floor and I worked it through as I could pick up and do that. And then my editing guy then said, here's how I see the sequencing. I didn't even worry about the sequencing of how it was going to come together. I knew I was creating modules. And if that will help you in developing your book, don't worry that it has to be, you have to do chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. You may not even know what chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4 is. But what you do is you have a clear, concise idea, and you can put it together and bring it about. That's how you create this. That's how you bring this together, and you create what's called a book. That's how you bring your passion. It's how you bring that vision together. It's how you commit it to the time, and then the commitment of the time to create. But the real work is going to happen after the book is done. I'm telling you, that's where you're going to work your tush off. It never changes. All my book shepherding clients say, they said, you told us it's going to be a lot of work. I heard it, but somehow either I didn't believe it or I just wasn't ready to absorb how much work comes in. So there's a lot to come out this thing called book publishing. I'm Judith Briles. Next week, we're going to continue with some ideas with platforms. We're going to get into time, and we're going to do a show on the publishing predators. Look forward to seeing you.
Thank you for being a part of Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles.